Hello, everybody. This is Jennifer Fox with Fox Property Management, and it is the end of September, and we are doing another Fox Talks. And this time, we're going to talk about maintenance and reoccurring maintenance. And I want to start by introducing my hat because I decided to wear it today. And now I'm starting to think that I might wear a hat for every one of these because then I don't have to worry about my hair. And I think for most of you who have to get on video once in a while, you can appreciate that. So I got this hat in Crested Butte when I was there with girlfriends, and they gave it to me as a birthday present. And I love it so much. And I'm wearing it all the time now. And so now I'm wearing it for this video. And then maybe next month I'll be creative and come with another hat. So, anyways, now you can understand why I'm wearing it. I will move on to strategic maintenance. So, you have probably noticed as a landlord that you're getting emails from us about recurring maintenance and preventative maintenance for the fall of 2025. So, the type of items that might be being brought to your attention are sprinkler winterization. So that's just a no brainer. That's going to happen. We turn it on in the spring, we turn it off in the fall. We always want to do it before the end of October, and so that's happening and always happening, and you can count on that. And it's really important that that's done. Swamp cooler winterization. That's another thing that oftentimes we'll forget about, but that's water running up onto your roof. And we need to make sure that that's winterized in a timely manner as well. So that's another thing that we are always doing in the fall. In the fall, we are turning that off, blowing that out. And then in the spring, we're turning it on so that your tenants have cooling throughout the summer. Landscaping cleanup. So this obviously doesn't pertain to you if you have a condo, maybe not even a townhome, but those of you who that have single family homes under management, this is a really important kind of reset for your property. Tenants care very much about the property they're living in, but landscaping is kind of a big deal. Not everybody's great at it. There's a lot that goes into it, from bushes to trees to replacing mulch to power raking. There's a lot of things that can be done. And what we're finding is that when we ask the tenant to take care of the property throughout the year, they can do that with mowing, basic weeding, making sure there's not debris in the yard. But it's really nice for them and really good for your property to have that reset in the fall and in the spring. So sort of end, fall cleanup, and then the spring raking everything up from the winter and just really setting up the yard to look great for the summer. Then there's HVAC services. So what we have found is that if you spend a little bit of money having your furnace looked at in the winter before we go into the winter season, it's just going to operate better. So make it, we ask tenants to change furnace filters, but we don't live there with them, and we can remind them over and over and over again, but we can't guarantee it's been done unless we get to the property. We obviously do site visits, people go out for maintenance, but if we have the furnace serviced once or twice a year, then we know it's being cleaned. We know the furnace filter is being changed out, and it's really the best way to take care of your furnace, because if that filter is not changed, it really makes the furnace work hard. And what we find is we get these emergency calls in the middle of the winter, and oftentimes it's just that the furnace needs to be serviced. Sometimes it's because it's an old furnace. Sometimes there's other reasons, but the maintenance on your HVAC really pays off. So highly recommend that you have that done in the fall so that there's less chance of an emergency. Dryer vent cleaning. So everybody uses their dryers differently. And, some people, they're not using it very much. Other people have, maybe a lot of people in the house are trying a lot of towels, whatever. Um, it's really smart to have your dryer vent cleared out once a year, once every 2 years, especially if you're living in a big complex. A lot of fires can start from dryer lint. So this is, again, one of those things where it may not need to be done quite as regularly, maybe not twice a year like you would with HVAC, like you would with the yard cleanup. But if you had it on the schedule once a year to just be done, it's just really smart maintenance just to make sure that that line is clear, that there's not buildup. And here's the other thing: if it's not cleared out, then the dryer works way harder. So the length of time that your dryer is in working condition is reduced. And so that's another recommendation, is that if the dryer vent clean out, and this is not the vent that the tenant's clearing out every time they're changing out the laundry. We're talking the hosing that's leaving the dryer, going out, and oftentimes venting to the exterior. We want to make sure that line is clear. So just to be clear about that. And then chimney cleaning. This is another one where, some of you have chimneys, some of you don't. So this pertains to those of you with chimneys, but just keeping in mind that keeping it clear if it's used, but also we want to make sure that that the chimneys are in good condition, that you don't have animals living in the chimney. So there's having the chimney checked if you have one makes sense. And that tends to also be something you would do before the cold season where it might be used. That tends to be the timing. And then gutter cleaning is another one that is just a smart practice, right? The tough thing with gutters is that you really kind of want to do it after all the leaves have fallen, but oftentimes we'll get snow before all the leaves are fallen. And so they're sort of hitting the right timing. So gutter cleanouts are recommended sometimes twice a year, depending on where your property is, whether you're responsible for the gutters. Many of you have properties where you don't have to do anything about gutters because the HOA does it. But if you have a single family home, having the gutters cleaned out makes a lot of sense. You can have that done at the same time as you're having the yard cleanup done, which could save you a little bit of money too, because the same crew might be able to do both services. But you want those gutters to be clear for several reasons. One is you can get overflow and comes over the gutter. The other thing is that if it's not clearing right, you're not getting water out and away from the house, and it might be falling close to the foundation of the house, which could be a problem for the property over time. So gutter cleanouts make sense, good for the property. You do not want tenants getting up on ladders and cleaning out gutters. Not safe. Much better to have someone who's insured and bonded who's doing that work. And so that's just our recommendation. And it's the timing that matters quite a bit, and the location of your property, whether you're around a lot of trees, not a lot of trees, could also play into whether it should be done once a year, twice a year, and when it should be done. So those are some of the main ones. It's about 7 of them. For some of you, another thing to consider is sewer line cleanouts. So if you have an older home with older sewer line, um, having it cleared once a year makes sense. So, for example, at my house, we even have a new part of our line, but we have it cleared every year. We just have it cleared because we have an older part where roots might run in, and we just, to avoid it, because I'm telling you that every single time our sewer line backs up, it is either during Thanksgiving or the day before some important event over the holiday. It is always that way. And then it feels stressful and you can't use the systems, and we're getting emergency calls for tenants if it's the case for them. And so running the sewer line once a year is just great preventative maintenance, especially if you've ever had an issue. So that is another thing that you could ask your property manager to add to the list. So, the general gist of this is that and a reminder, I think most of we don't mark up any of this maintenance. This is maintenance that we're setting up because we think it's good for your property. It's good for the investment that you have in the property. You may not agree to do all of these things. We are not going to force you or push you to do them. We just are recommending them based on our experience. And so we also have the opportunity to have a vendor do lots and lots and lots of service, which reduces the price. And that's our intention as well. So our goal here is to continue to provide advice and resources to take care of your property. And inside doing that, reoccurring maintenance is just a big part of it. We want to be paying attention, and we want to reduce the emergencies. And we want to make sure that if you go to sell your property someday, the history shows that your furnace has been serviced every year, twice a year. And that is something that a buyer loves to see, right? So there are so many reasons to take this action, and we're doing it on your behalf for your property. You might also be doing the same thing for yourself and your own property. So wanted to share all that with you today, let you know what our intention is here. I know you're getting emails about this and it may feel a little bit overwhelming. Do I really need to do all of this? And the truth is that you don't need to do all of it. But most of what we're sending to you, we're recommending. And we think it's a good idea to take care of your property, to help the tenants take better care of your property, and to make sure that the systems that cost a lot to maintain and a lot to replace are well cared for during tenancy. So thank you so much for taking time to watch this video. And of course, your property managers are always happy to talk to you about these services. And I am always available for a phone call or an email if you have any questions about your property for anything, whether it's maintenance or you want to talk about your plan for the property, or some of want to talk about the market or anything that would be interesting to you. I'm always available to set up a time to have a conversation. So thanks again for taking time to watch today. Thanks for putting up with my hat. And I think I'll probably have another one next week, next month. We'll see. I guess you'll have to tune in. All right. Thank you. Bye.